Hey everybody, Joe with Bumbling Acres. Hope y'all are doing well. It's Saturday and one of the 2 days in the week, Saturday and Sunday, when I get to actually see the homestead in daylight hours. The bad thing about working a corporate job is generally I'm gone before the sun comes up and I'm home after the sun goes down this time of year. So I don't get to see the homestead in its daily beauty, which is one of the things I look forward to on the weekend. I enjoy working and enjoy all the things that you need to do. I actually do enjoy doing it, but it's very nice to be able to see kind of nature in motion and the interaction between nature and us here on our homestead. But those who are new to the channel may not know this. I have a tendency to have diarrhea of the mouth, just spout and runneth. And for me, homesteading is less of a practical approach and more important, your philosophical approach to homesteading. So I have a pretty philosophical approach to it. There's a lot of ways to do things in homesteading and permaculture. There's some sacred rules you follow. You follow nature and its the patterns it sets, and then you implement them in your small scale way. But when it's all said and done, how big your chicken tractor is there's a lot of play there. There's realities within that. You can make it too big, like I did the first one. But within that reality, there's a lot of movement within what you can and cannot do. So for me, it's less of the nuts and bolts of how and more of the philosophical approach for why. Your why, your purpose, your reasons will drive you towards the how, will help you figure out the how. A lot of people want to try to figure out all the hows before they do. And that's a pragmatic approach, and there's a place for that. But the reality being one where until your hands are deep in it, you're not going to really, there's only so much book smarts you can get. There comes a point where it becomes practical. We're reminded of this earlier this week with our field stripping of the deer we got. That was a first for me, and that we watched a lot of videos and everything to kind of see how they did it. I got home and started doing it, and called a friend and had a friend come over and help us through, because we reached that point where you really what we needed to be done was beyond what we knew. But that's part of the how. That's part of that's driven by the purpose. So I was thinking today as I was working, we've had a huge windstorm a couple of weeks ago, and it literally blew all the leaves from one side of my yard against the fence between me and my neighbor's property. And leaves being down is not a bad thing, and I don't want to interrupt nature's cycle with the falling of the leaves and creating good soil and how that's an important part of it. But there's too much in one thing. You've got to balance, and that's the role, in my opinion, of what humans are supposed to be on this planet. We are the balancing agent. We go through and take surpluses in one area and move it to another so that there is a beneficial relationship. That's the role of a human being, in my opinion, and that has become the connection for homesteading. It's why I homestead, to fulfill that connection and that symbolic relationship between me and nature and the earth. And it's that, I'm all about relationships. So how does my homestead affect the relationships between me and my community, me and the ground, me and my family? But in light of that, we were thinking about reason and purpose. And in the corporate world I work, there's a number of, one of my friends was talking about how they were going to get in trouble because they hadn't raked their leaves. And, their HOA requires them to rake their leaves. And I was like, well, if your HOA, sadly, you have an HOA, so sorry. But the reality being, we equate leaf falling as bad. It's something we have to go through. And I remember when I was growing up, our little property, our little house with 1 acre, and how it was leaves. We had to rake the leaves, get the leaves off the ground, get the leaves off the ground. And we understand the reason for leaves falling. Leaves fall due to the change in the sunlight, and that the green chlorophyll is no longer receiving enough. So there's other reactors within the plant biology that retains energy from the sun. They react with a brown or red-ish tint, but they don't provide enough energy, so it keys the tree to start winterizing and to get itself ready for the winter. And the leaves fall off after that because they're not generating enough energy. So that's the reason for the leaves to fall. In a paraphrased way, I'm sure there's some people out there who know that much better than me. But the paraphrased manner for why, the reason, but what's the purpose? What is, it's not enough to just know the reason for something to happen. What's the purpose? And the purpose is defined by its role. leaves fall on the ground, and if there wasn't a good purpose for them to be on the ground, Mother Nature would have enacted something to get them off the ground already. So when we go into nature and there's leaves everywhere, what's the point? What's the purpose of those leaves? And it's to create a protective layer. Harley, leave the deer and trails alone. Things you never thought you'd say before you had a homestead. But the reality being one where the purpose is it protects the soil. The soil's about to go through a really rough season, and having that leaf layer protects that topsoil layer and allows it to start degenerating. It actually preps the ground for the spring, returning nutrients to it. That's the purpose, and that's something that dawned on me today. You know, the purpose for leaves falling isn't because it's a bad thing. It's the purpose of the cycle, that the earth, leaves fall to the ground, they protect the topsoil, they help break down and perform good, healthy topsoil. And we as people are so used to just removing the leaves, getting rid of them. They can't be good. Well, they serve a purpose. So yeah, you're not going to miss it when you grow a giant weed, which is all grass is, and you've got this pretty looking weed growing in your yard, but it's not going to regenerate the soil below it. And we've got a huge issue in this country and around the world of soil degradation. And imagine what a difference it would make if we just quit raking leaves. We balance them out. Like on my property, you can see all this giant pile of leaves that was up against the fence. You know, that's not good. So my role as a balancer is my my role at the top of the food chain is to balance out the effect of nature on itself so that it is beneficial. You know, the reason and the purpose, and where do I fit within that purpose. So that was my philosophical thoughts on a Saturday morning. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've also got our website up for bumblinacres.com, where we post thoughts and things. We also will have our store up there at some point in the spring. Deborah has a Farm Her blog. I forget the name of it, but it's up there, and I post some musings on there as well. And it's a great way to stay in touch. We've also got our Facebook page, Bumblin' Acres. I think it's Bumblin' Acres Homestead. Search, just look for 2 B's, one with a yellow hat on, so, or orange hat on. If you have questions, you know, if you have any thoughts that you want to expand on this, please post. And I hope you're having a great day, and hope you're doing well. Bye.